Trainer Kenny McPeak and his champion horses are now a part of Morningline. With Morningline, I don't just watch the race, I invest in champions. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morningline, own the game.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I'm Gino Buccola alongside David Aragona with producer Lucia helping us out. Another big day of racing over at Gulfstream Park. We're going to head on over there for a race preview. The Sweetest Chant in just a moment. The Sweetest Chant presented by Daily Racing Form, of course. We got to get that big title name in the sponsor up there. But before we do, I want to let you know about Morningline.io. Morningline.io is the official sponsor of this preview. Unlock access to some of racing's most coveted bloodlines, mares and colts connected to championship pedigrees. Morningline is a private SEC-regulated marketplace where approved participants can trade licensed interest in elite racehorses. No ongoing cost. Build your stable only at Morningline.io. It's funny, David, you just had the Pegasus World Cup last week at Gulfstream Park. Then they come back with another big weekend right away. Holy Bull and a couple other stakes races. This one is the Sweetest Chant. I will say, just at first glance, not a ton of early speed in this race signed on, but you do have the very sharp sister Troienne right now, who has won 4 in a row. She's just getting a little bit better each time. She's better on turf, but she's also won on synthetic in a race that was taken off the turf. I think you just kind of have to start with her when you're talking about this race because she's been so sharp.
Yeah, I mean, it's a large competitive field. There are plenty of fillies that look like they're improving on the way into this race, but the number 8 sister Troienne, I mean, she's won the 4 in a row, and she's won some stakes races pretty easily on the way into this. So this is a step up in class for her, but she is squarely the one to beat.
See what Timeform US thinks about the pace projector of this race and how it will set up. Spirit Doll towards the outside. What's a little tricky with the horse like Spirit Doll, she was actually supposed to race against sister Troienne when I believe on January the 3rd in the Ginger Brew. You could kind of see the work tab for Spirit Doll was getting her ready for that race. She doesn't run, and we don't really have anything for her since then, right? As far as like preparation for this race. So that's a tricky read for handicappers.
Yeah, and Gino, based on that and the work tab, and we'll get to this when we talk about her, but I kind of wonder and doubt a little bit if she's actually running in this race since she has not worked in over a month. So let's just say hypothetically, if she comes out, there really is no speed in this race. And I guess Sister Troienne has the tactical speed to go forward. I think the number 10 Aggressive Lime is a horse that they would probably like to be forward with. But if the number 11 comes out, it really throws this pace situation into a murky place.
Let's meet the field here for the Sweetest Chant. This one's going to go as race number 11, presented by Daily Racing Form. $175,000 up for grabs on Saturday. We'll start out with One Sweet Girl. And, you know, with this one, her first start on the turf is good. She wins. She comes back, then she wins a synthetic start, and she wins again on the turf. So now 3 in a row. All her races are going long. I wasn't quite sure what to think after the first 2, David, because they were against much softer company. That last effort, she did step up. She faced first level allowance company. She was about 10 lengths off. She tipped to the outside, still about 5 off going into the top of the stretch. And she's able to make this big wide move into contention. She's been visually impressive. I don't know how good she is, but that was a little bit of an acid test for her to really see, does she stack up with horses at this level? And I don't think she disgraced herself at all. I just didn't know what to do with her, but I was like very impressed and kind of pleased by what she's done in her last few starts.
Yeah, she has definitely been beating up on weaker competition, but if you want to kind of see where that improvement came from, go back to watch that maiden claiming $25,000 race when she first got on the turf, because the first 2 furlongs of that race were just an utter nightmare for her. She got in so much trouble. Few horses are able to win after the kind of trip that she got through the opening couple furlongs. And the fact that she did just basically said she's a much better horse than the typical winner of a race at that level, and she's proved it in subsequent starts. However, Gino, her lack of gate speed and just lack of any early speed whatsoever is a real concern in a race like this based on the pace projector that we showed, where they're probably not going to be moving that quickly up front. She's drawn the rail. She might get shuffled right out the back door once again, and that puts her in a difficult position. But I will say her trainer, Carlos David, has been sending out winners from seemingly anywhere at any level. So I think you have to respect anything he's been sending out lately, but she might have her work cut out for her.
I think our assessment on her is very, very similar. Like, I want to try to include her some spots, but I just don't know if the race is going to set up for her all that much. She was one of the horses I kind of cut out of the bottom ring. We moved to Surprise Ending. This filly was super impressive, winning first time out of the box on January the 4th. She was about 5th early on, and she's back to 10 lengths off behind a runoff leader in there. Then at the top of the lane, she's moving back into contention nicely, and she's out in the 6th path, kind of in between horses in a driving finish. The Dam was a stakes winner going long on the turf, found Graded Stakes Company a little bit too tough, but the pedigree is there for this horse to be good going long on the grass. What do you think about her second start now for Brendan Walsh?
Yeah, we could take a look at that replay that you were describing there. I mean, yeah, she never saved any ground in here. She was just wide every step of the way. The thing that I don't want to give her too much credit for, though, Gino, is that, as you said, there was a runoff early. It was a really fast pace, and you can kind of see it here in mid-stretch. The entire pace is just collapsing. Those horses that were forward early, they're just going backwards in the final eighth of a mile, and everybody who's around at the end was closing from off the pace. So I wouldn't say that she was closing so much better than anybody else. She just maybe got a wider trip than them. And also, Gino, the other thing about her is when you see those fast-paced situations, especially on the turf at Gulfstream, it can also make the final time artificially faster than maybe it really should have been. So that's a race where I kind of question the speed figures that a lot of horses got, and I'll be interested to see if she's able to run back to it against what I do think is a tougher field here.
Up next is Brat Pack, who I think is very live. 3-year-old filly, was a runner-up in her career debut behind a lone speed winner. Then in her second start, she puts it all together. She breaks the maiden. Good start. She settles in 4th, about 2-3 lengths off. She angles out nicely like a pro. Her Dam was a multiple Graded Stakes winner going long on the turf. Won the Grade 3 Gallaret by 10 and was second in the Grade 1 Diana. Had some class there. I think she just fits really well. You look at Graham Motion, and I'm never concerned when he brings horses in like this that might be a little light on speed figures too when you're comparing them. And she's not even that light, but like some of the times they'll come in from Laurel or Delaware and have run other places and gotten those turf races under them. I think this one fits really well with this group, David.
I'm sure you'll relate to this, Gino, but sometimes you develop attachments to horses that you made big scores with, like back in the day. And her Dam Ultra Brat was a score that I made back when she was racing first time turf. She just had this big turfy stride on her, and she was dismissed at like 22-1 when she tried turf for the first time in a stakes event for these exact same connections. So that was a memorable one, and it's kind of cool to see her sibling, or I should say her foal, start out on the turf and do pretty well. I actually thought her debut race at Laurel was pretty encouraging, the way that she was able to wait and then finish pretty well. Second best that day, but to a pretty good horse who came back and repeated the buyer. And then last time out, I know that the field was kind of coming to her at the end, but I liked the way that she was able to hold on after making that first move to take over at the top of the stretch. I just feel like there's more upside here, and the Grab Motion horses have certainly been running well on the turf at Gulfstream lately. So I think she's interesting, and she at least has the tactical speed to get some position.
We move to Spicy Princess, who wheels back a couple weeks after breaking the maiden on the synthetic on January the 18th. Now, you do see that she was behind Spirit Doll and Bert's Naughty Girl in a couple races on the grass back in September and October. So we'll need to turn the tables on those same rivals that she'll have to face on Saturday. Put it all together on the synthetic. Can you make a case for this gal?
I mean, she got it done on the all-weather last time. That was not a particularly strong field. When you watch it, it was not the most visually appealing win either, because she was just hanging on her left lead. The entire stretch drive didn't even look like she really wanted to put that rival away to her inside. And her prior turf races just don't make her much of a contender here, so I couldn't get there.
I was trying to get to day-to-day. David, who's coming off of a runner-up effort in the Wait a While, was behind sister Troienne there. I think you can go through the overall body of work. Day-to-day debuted sprinting on the turf. Then in the second start was in the Spinway on the dirt. If you want to just eliminate the dirt races and that Miss Grillo, that was a pretty tough race too. I mean, you see a horse like Deep Learning who come back out of that race to win the Chelsea Flower next time out. There wasn't a whole lot of passing in that race as well. I think you can kind of find some things to like. Was well behind sister Troienne when setting the pace on the synthetic last time out. Can the return to the grass flip things? Can this horse improve now going long on the grass?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with her. And it feels like the connections aren't really sure what to do with her, because they tried turf sprint, then dirt sprint, then turf route, then synthetic route. They're just checking all the boxes with her. And I mean, she's moved forward a little bit. I would say that she didn't run nearly as well as sister Troienne last time, because that was a pretty moderate pace, and sister Troienne just kind of like bulldozed her in the stretch. But there's not a whole lot of pace in this race. Maybe she's one that could end up going forward, especially if the other Safi Joseph runner comes out. They might especially have incentive incentive to go forward with her. She could back down the pace a little bit. I still don't know that she's good enough. Maybe she gets the right setup.
I think you and I previewed the Ginger Brew, and we were talking a little bit about Storm's Wake and what we weren't sure what to do with Storm's Wake, who had run really, really well at Churchill in September. Then in the stakes race on October the 25th at Gulfstream, just no excuses for Storm's Wake that day. Was getting a great setup. It was one of those head-scratching performances as a handicapper or gambler you just don't know what to do with next time. But she did bounce back pretty well in the Ginger Brew with a third-place finish, and it was more to the types of races we have seen from her. She's a little farther back. She got shuffled a bit. She's the type of horse who I think could maybe kind of fall through the cracks and maybe be a decent price in here. Can you make a case for Storm's Wake?
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like something went wrong in that outer
Had to have, right?
She just stopped striding. She was getting asked early, and she just went backwards on the far turn, and she got some time off after that. I do agree. I mean, her Ginger Brew, it was a step back in the right direction. There was not a whole lot of pace in that race. She was really the only one that was running at the end behind Sister Troienne, her stablemate, and she galloped out really strongly after the wire. I don't know how forward she can be, Gino. And I worry that, again, she's going to be left with too much to do. Like a lot of these, we're going to keep saying that about a lot of these horses. But I agree. I think her last race is a better representation of who she is.
Yeah, and if you're just looking at like speed figures in this race, if you take Sister Troienne out and you put her at the top and you say she's the horse to beat, when we're putting out buyers, Storm's Wake, that 76, the 75, that's right up there at the tip top of speed figures with the rest of this group. Bert's Naughty Girl is the next one up. You do see Sister Troienne, Storm's Wake, Sister Troienne a couple times in the past performance running lines. She did lose position most recently and was just a little bit farther back than she had been in a couple other starts. What do you do with Bert's Naughty Girl?
Yeah, when she's tried tougher company like this, she just has not been quite this good. I mean, she beat a weaker field on the turf 2-back, but even that effort probably not going to get it done here. So I thought she was a little tough to build a case for.
Sister Troienne is the obvious top contender. She's now won all 4 races at a mile and beyond. She showed she can sit close when no one was showing any speed last time out. She just sat about a length off the pace. She was always within striking range. It was a really nice effort. So it's like another thing you see with horses when they just get better and they show more maturity, that they can do different things. She can sit a little bit closer, and David, there's not a lot of speed in here. She may have to be doing the same sort of thing in this race. She just seems like a really sharp, honest horse that's moving in the right direction right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, not following the Florida circuit day in and day out, or Kentucky either. I wasn't aware of her immediately, but she's kind of come on my radar in the last month, and she is a really nice 3-year-old turf filly, and you've got to love the pedigree. I mean, especially being a fan of some of the horses that I think are her aunts and uncles. I mean, her dam is a half sister to Sadler's Joy, to Wolfie's Dynagos. I mean, that's a really strong Woods Lane Farm family, and she's in the same mold, a really talented turf filly. And as you said, I mean, that tactical speed, it just is going to ensure that she gets the right kind of trip, provided that she breaks cleanly. So she's awfully tough to dislike in this race. It's just a question of what kind of value she's going to be, because she's so obvious. She's got that winning streak going. She's probably going to be a pretty short price.
My Lady Jbella comes into this race off of a 5th and a 4th place finish behind a couple common rivals in this race. Was behind Aggressive Lime, then behind One Sweet Girl. I thought in both of those races you could make like little cases for this horse to have run a bit better. Thought the race in November was a little bit sneaky, did have to wait for some room. Then last time out, again, kind of waiting up the rail, didn't have a whole lot of room, found some room, and then a pretty big gallop out. So maybe you can kind of dive into this horse and find some stuff in the running lines. I think she isn't like a bottom of exotics type horse. From just a class standpoint, though, I really don't know how good she is and where she stacks up. What do you think about her in here, My Lady Jbella?
Yeah, for me, she's like the one bomb in this race that I can make a pretty good case for.
Yeah.
And she probably is going to be a gigantic price, just given the connection she goes out for and the fact that she's been beaten by some of these rivals. But yeah, I agree with the notes you were making, Gino. I did not like the ride that she got to back at Churchill Downs, where she was getting a good trip along the inside. And it's like the jockey just made a couple of wrong decisions, first trying to go outside to follow Aggressive Lime, then having to cut back inside. And when you're altering course multiple times in the stretch like that, you're going to inevitably lose momentum. And she just kind of ran into the back of some horses in the final 16th of a mile. And last time out, I was really impressed by the tenacity that she showed to split horses going through a gap that was barely there in the middle of the stretch. And I know that the winner of that race, One Sweet Girl, that we talked about, she covered more ground than My Lady Jbella did. But I just really like the way that she showed the bravery to kind of come on through some tight holes between horses. And I think she's subtly moving forward. Is she good enough to win the race? I don't know. But as you were kind of alluding to, she's the kind of horse that I definitely want to use in my exotic somewhere.
When we're talking about a race that doesn't have a whole lot of speed on paper, one of those horses who may be able to take advantage of that, who's shown some speed and shown the ability to sit close, is Aggressive Line, who may be one of the naturally quickest. That debut was asked for speed, was outside of just one other, was just behind the leader, put that one away, opened up nicely. That was at Kentucky Downs. Then came back in the Jessamine, career start number 2, had a slow start, didn't seem to love it down inside, was 7th, was about 4 lengths off, got to the outside with a 3 deep move, got caught in between horses. It just was kind of a tough trip for this horse throughout that race, and then comes back a totally different trip on November the 19th, getting a really nice trip the way that one's set up. It just seemed like, perfect trip, was saving all the ground, tips around 4 wide, and then, moves to the lead and opens up. I think this horse is kind of handy, David, and it feels like a good spot for a horse like this where there's not that much early speed from the outside. I can just envision a good trip for this horse sitting within a couple lengths. If they don't want to try to maybe go to the lead in here, just feel like a good spot for a horse who has some natural early speed.
Yeah, there probably is a good trip coming for her because she can be forward in this race given the competition to her inside, just not having a whole lot of early speed. Yeah, the Jessamine, I mean, you could just see she was kind of her own worst enemy. She refused to settle early. And even once they got her to the outside, I mean, she was kind of trying to lug in. She was leaning all over. I think that was Time to Dream. She was one of the horses causing problems for that heavy favorite in the race, just kind of wanting to lean into competition. She is this big, tall, lanky filly who kind of looks like she needs to develop into the frame that she had as a 2-year-old. And we'll see if she's able to get comfortable up front, because I don't think she is the kind of horse that wants to race in any sort of traffic. That's just not the way that she's built. But if she gets out front, that probably is going to be the trip that works out best for her, and she might have that opportunity here.
And that Jessamine, too, she's behind Imagination, the lady who comes back and runs 4th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf with an 81. Top 3 in that race all came back and ran in the Breeders' Cup, so it was a tough one. We round things out with Spirit Doll, and she's the real wild card. We don't know what to do with her because we don't see a published work since December the 27th. She was entered to run against Sister Troienne in the Ginger Brew. Would have been the second choice on paper that day and would have been a horse that you were looking at as maybe an alternative to Sister Troienne. I think, David, you got a good look at Spirit Doll's nostrils when you were watching one of these replays, right? I saw on social media, but what else can you tell us from this one?
That was surprise ending. That was the race where they zoomed in on a horse that it was ultimately going to finish off the screen at the end of the race. Sure. I don't know how that was a benefit, but anyway, Spirit Doll, she is a horse that was super impressive in that replay that we just watched when she won the Aradir Peg. I don't think she was beating much of a field that day, but Gino, when you win a turf race by upwards of 6 lengths, you are just in a different league than your competition. The problem is, can you come into a race having not worked in 5 weeks and step up against the toughest field of your career? I don't trust it. I would kind of be surprised if Safi actually ran her given that preparation. I know that Safi took a lot of heat for the preparation for a horse last week in Guadabario, and he ended up running one of his better races. So maybe you shouldn't read anything into that. But this one would be a little bit atypical. Though I will say, if you forget about the works, she is a horse that I would definitely want to use in this race because she's got the right running style and she clearly has turf talent.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If we knew that there were works that weren't published or there was something, she'd be a major player in here if she was coming into this all right. But I was very impressed with what Safi did last week. He's trying to raise the bar on himself here, David, winning a race with no published works in about a month. So we'll see if he can do that again or if Spirit Doll even ends up running in here. But as we round out this field and move to selections, David, how do you want to stack them up for this one?
No argument with the number 8 Sister Troienne being way the horse to beat, and I'm kind of sentimentally rooting for her because I just love horses from this family. But the number 3 Brat Pack, another horse that I have a little bit of an attachment to, I just thought that she's shown some subtle talent that maybe has not been tapped yet in her first couple of starts, and I think she's got the right running style for this. She's going out for a hot barn, and she probably is going to fly a little under the radar for this race given the light speed figure she received for that maiden win last time. So I'll take her to post the minor upset.
Yeah, we have a lot of similarities in our top 4 there. I'm going to lean to Aggressive Lime, who I think can make her own trip in this race from the outside. As you were pointing out, she didn't look like she liked being behind horses and inside, so that outside draw does not bother me at all. I think it'll give her a nice spot to kind of pick her position there early on. So for David, it's going to be 3, 8, 9, 10. For me, 10, 8, 2, 3. However you play them, we wish you the best of luck.